Afternoon, everyone. This is BremSter, and today I'm coming to you with a puzzle that is a little bit unusual. This is another puzzle that I got through a recommendation, and I've not done a puzzle by this setter before, so I reached out to the setter and asked for permission, and they seemed eager for me to do the puzzle. At least they said yes. Um, and this is a puzzle which is a chess variant, but it's not like anti-knight or anti-king or anything like that. This is something I've never seen before. Um, and it's going to be a little bit of an interesting journey to see how this one goes. So, we're now well, not well and truly, it is now into April and March of the Quads is still running. So details for that will be below. So if you're still doing March of the Quads, don't worry, you can still submit. But I will have some names for March of the Quads to read out probably tomorrow, is when I'll have the details of the people who did successfully submit in March. Um, the other thing to mention is there will be a pack for me to release on my channel this month, which I don't know if there'll be a prize or anything for it. It is not a pack that I've been involved in creating. It is a pack that people have created for my channel for me to release at first on my channel, and then I don't feel the need for anything that I release to be exclusive to my channel. So after I've released it, they can do what they want with the puzzles. Yeah, so we'll see what happens, but I will have some content for you some point soon. um, we'll see what happens. Onto this puzzle. This is Checks and Balances by Burning Curtains. And this, as I said, is a chess variant, but not like what you may think. So I'll go straight into the rules and then try and explain them as I go, because I'm going to be explaining them to myself as well. So normal Sudoku rules apply. So in every box, in every row, and in every column, the digits 1 to 9 must be placed without repetition. The digits on the grid, or at least 6 of the digits on the grid, represent chess pieces. So 1 represents a king, 2s will be rooks, 3s will be bishops, 4s will be knights, 5s will be pawns, and 6 will be queens. 7s, 8s, and 9s will represent blank spaces on the board. Okay, this is important. In this grid, when in the solved grid, no king may be in check at the end. So that means that no one, which is the king, will be able to be seen by any of the 2 through 6 of the other pieces by the move that those pieces make. So if you're not familiar with the chess moves, this might be a little bit tricky. So 2s, which are the rook, they will see if a 2 was to see a 1 horizontally or vertically, that would be a problem. If a 3 was to see a 1 diagonally, that would be a problem. If a 4 was to see a 1 by knight's move, that would be a problem. Pawns in this see all 4 spaces, but see diagonally, but they only see 1 space diagonally. So a pawn, if this was a 5, it would see all of those spots. So, and 6s, the queens, see vertically, horizontally, and diagonally. As far as they can see. So they are incredibly powerful. So for example, this 6 sees all of those squares. So, and it doesn't mean I can't put a 1 in the row, but it has to be blocked by another piece. And that's where the trick comes in. Now, another piece means another rook, bishop, knight, pawn, or, well, yeah, or queen, potentially. I don't know how this is going to work. So that's the way this puzzle works. Let's give this a shot. So, how do I start this? So, you can never put a queen adjacent to a 1. Because if you were put a queen, yeah, a queen next to a 1 will see it. That's just flat out. So I can never put a 6 into those squares, and I can't put a 6 there, because if I put a 6 there, then it will see the 1. So 6 can only go into those 3 squares. How does that help me? So 6 is in those 3 squares. Oh, wait a minute. No. The, I'm going to mark these. What color will I use? Let's use red for the kings. 1 can't go here or here. I looked at this backwards, but it can't go in either of these spots. So 1 can only go here. And the reason for that is 1 can't go here by Sudoku or here by Sudoku, but if I put 1 in either of those spots, it will be seen by this queen. So 1 has to go in one of those two, which means I cannot put a queen there, because if I put a queen there, that would see both of these, the spots for these, for where the king can go in this box. Now that means that there is a king in one of those two spots, but it can't be there. This is a king because of Sudoku. So that is a king, which puts a king in one of those two spots by Sudoku. Now, I can't put... this is going to be interesting. I can't put a queen next to... So there has to be a queen down here, because I can't put it in any of those spots. And I can't put it there. So there is a queen in one of those two. Now I can't put a queen in there. I can't put a queen there because it'd be next to that king. So it has to be in one of those two here, but I can't put it there. This has to be the queen. Because if I put it here, it would see that. If I put it here, it would see that. So it's in one of those two, but those two mean it can't be there. Yeah. So that puts a queen in one of those two. Actually, this is interesting. I always expected it would... I'm rude to puzzles. I'm sorry. So that means in... Right, and down here, I can't put a king in here or here, and I can't put a king here. So the king is down here. Which means the king in this box now has to be up here, and it can't be there. That is the king. So the king is now up here. Now the king can't be in those squares. Sorry, the queen can't be in those squares in this box because it would put it adjacent. So the queen has to be down here. It can't be here because it would see that king. So the queen is down here, which knocks out this and makes this the queen. But queen can't go there or here or here. This has to be the queen. This would see that. This would see that, and that is seen by here. So this is a queen, which sees that. So that is not the king. This is the king, which means this is not the queen. This is the queen, which means this is not the king. This is the king, which means this is the king. And that means this is the king, and I've got the position of all the kings. That is very clever. Now, this is not the queen anymore. This is the queen. Oh, wait. But none of those are adjacent to kings. So now I need to find another way of progressing. But I found all the kings. That has to be correct. Actually, I'm going to mark these squares, which are empty spaces and don't block line of sight. What color am I? I'm going to use grey. Okay. Grey is empty. Now, but for example, this square here, this queen cannot see this king. So it has to be a piece in here. So it can't be 7, 8, 9. So what it can be... Well, it can't be a 2 because if it was a 2, it'd be a rook and it would see it. So it could be a 3 because a bishop wouldn't see this. It could be a 4 because a knight wouldn't see this. And it could be a 5 because a pawn wouldn't see this. But it can't be a knight. This can't be a 4 because if this is a 4, it'd be a knight and it would see this king. So that can't be a 4. Because nothing can block a knight from... because knights jump. Oh, this is weird. This is the same. So this can't be a rook. So anything between a queen and a king has to be, can't be a rook because of the same thing. So, sorry, anything in a straight line, vertical or horizontal, between a queen and a king has to be a bishop, a knight, or a pawn. So this, which is a 3, 4, or 5. So this is a 3, 4, or 5. Where else? Here, that's a 3, 4, or 5. This is the same because this is effectively the same because this is an empty square. So this is a 3, 4, or a 5. This is a 3, 4, or a 5. This is a 3, 4, or a 5. This one can't be a 4 because it sees that by knight's move. Is that all I've got? I've got a 3, 5 in this column now. So this is very weird. Do I want to look at 4s? Because there's going to be a lot of restriction on where 4s can go, isn't there? This is... I'm going to do this, and people may find a better way of solving this puzzle, but that's fine. I'm going to solve this as... because I have no idea what I'm doing, I'm going to do what I used to do when I was solving new rule sets I'd never seen before. Green is the possible places for 4. Now, this one sees that spot, so that cannot be by knight's move, so that cannot be a 4. This one sees that spot, that spot, that spot, that spot, that spot, that spot, and that spot by knight move. They can't be 4s. This one sees that spot, and that spot. That can't be a 4. This one sees that spot, that spot, that spot, that spot, that spot. They can't be 4s. I think that's everything. This one sees that spot, 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 and that spot by knight's move. They can't be 4s. This one sees that, 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 that. They can't be 4s. This one sees that, 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 that. That's the only one that one sees. This one sees that, 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 no, that, 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 and that. They can't be 4s. This one sees that, 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 that. They can't be 4s. Well, this leaves just 2 spots in here. So this can't be a 4. So that is not a 4. That is not a 4. 4 has to be in here now. So these are not 4. 4 has to be in one of those two, so that's not a 4. This is the way I used to do old Knight's Move puzzles way back in the day. And it's important to realize that this doesn't mean that this can't be a 4, because these don't block each other. It's 1s that can't see 4s, not 4s that can't see 4s. This is very weird. Oh, didn't that do any more for me? That can't be a 6. Because if that was a 6, I'd have to put a 3, 4, 5 between it, and I can't because there's a 3, 5 pair and a 4. That can't be a 6. This is the queen, this is the queen. These are not queens. Which means this can't be a 3, 4, 5. So this can't block that view. This has to block the view. This is a 3, 4, or a 5. One of these has to be a 3, 4, 5, but I don't know which. That's very odd. But I now have all the queens. Have I missed a Knight's Move thing? Because it really feels like 4s would be more restricted than this. This puzzle is tricky. So how do you progress now? Wait a minute. This queen sees this on the diagonal. So what can block on the diagonal? So I have to put a piece in here. So it could be a rook, except I can't put a rook in either of those because they both see this king. If I put a bishop here, it would see that. If I put a bishop here, it would see that. I could put a knight here, but not here, because the knight would see here. So this could be a knight. If I put a pawn here, it would see that. If I put a pawn here, it would see that. And all the queens are now placed. This has to be the knight. That's kind of crazy. So that's not a knight because because of Sudoku. Now this is the only place in this box for a knight, which means there's no knight in those. That is crazy. So that's a knight, which knocks out the box and the column only. That knocks out the box, the column, and the row only. So diagonals. So there's still a knight in here. So what I'm looking for is places where queens c1 on queen c kings on diagonals. Where are those happening? Here. Here's one. So I can't put a rook in either of those spots because they'd see that. If I put a bishop here, it would see that. If I put a bishop here, it would see that. I can put a knight here, but not here because of all of the eliminations I've already done. If I put a knight here, it would see that. So that could be a knight. If I put a pawn here, it would see that. If I put a pawn here, it would see that. And all the queens are placed. This has to be the knight, which means this is not the knight. These can't be green. I'm going to take the 4 out of there. These are now not green because of the 4 that's placed. 4, the knight is now there, which means that is not the knight, and this is a knight. This is crazy. Okay, so I'm looking for other places where queens see kings. Actually, before I do that, I haven't placed the queen in this box. That's a queen. Is that now all the queens? Yes, it is. That is a queen. And that's given me another one of those. So I can't put a rook in either of those. I must place a piece in here. There's no rook that I can put there. I could place a bishop here, though. So this one's not as powerful. I could put a bishop here or a bishop there. Or pawns. So I'm not a fan of that one. I have to put a 4 down here, which I already have by the green. Now I've done all the 6s, I've done all the 1s. Is it Sudoku? Or do I have to look at a different piece now? Because all of these are clean to see. Like none of these see kings that I can... This puzzle is strange. I'm actually going to pencil mark all of those as 4s, even though it's 3 locations, so then I can get rid of my green highlighting. Okay, so what piece do I want to look at next? Possibly bishops, because bishops can't go diagonally. So let's highlight. I'm going to do the same trick, even though it is kind of horrible from the perspective of... I know people think, oh, why would you just highlight the entire grid? It's almost like bifurcating or whatever. But and particularly when I had trouble with coloring, but it allows me to very, very easily sort of make the eliminations that I need to make. So I should start in this box. I can't put a bishop there. I can't put a bishop on the diagonals to that. I've taken that one. I can't put the bishops on the direct diagonals to that one. I can't put a bishop on the direct diagonals to that one. That has now got all of those removed. I can't put a bishop in either of those spots. I can't put a bishop in either of those spots. And I can't put a bishop in any of those spots. Now, hang on. That'd be the... No, it's not the same for pawns. Or is it? Because I only eliminated direct touching. So wouldn't this be the same? Like, I couldn't put a 5 here because it would touch. I couldn't put a 5 here. This is a 3-5 pair. And this has to be the same. Because if I put a 5 here, a pawn, it would touch. If I put a 5 here, it would touch. If I put it... This is a 3-5 pair. This has given me a 3-5 pair in the row. So these can't be bishops. This can't be a bishop. This can't be a bishop. This can't be a bishop because of the column. This can't be a bishop because if this was a bishop, this is an empty spot and it would see that. This cannot be a bishop, but it can be a pawn. But it's not a bishop. Oh, those empty spots are going to be weird. So 3 is in one of those two spots. But how does that help me eliminate? Is there any row, column, or box? Okay, so 3 in this row has to be in one of those two. So that is not a bishop. Hang on, is this a 3-5 pair? Because I can't put 5 in any of these. So 5 has to go up in one of these, and this is 3-5. This is a 3-5 pair. So this is not a 4. So this is a 3-5 pair. This being a 3-5 pair means that 4 is up here, 4 is not here. This becomes the 4. What does this do? Nothing? Well, this is a 3-5 pair, but I already had that in the column. Wow, I have probably missed something really obvious. This is not easy to scan. Okay. This is probably not a great idea, but I'm tempted to get rid of some of those green highlights. Okay, so 8 has to go in one of those two, because I can see this 8 now can't go here, so it's in one of those. Can I do something similar with others? 9s are in one of those two. So this is a 3-5-9 triple, which means these are known. These are 2, 7, and 8. Well, that can't be a 2 because I can't put a rook next to a... So this is 7, 8, which means this is grey. Which surely limits this. It means I can't put a 2 here. So the 2 in the column is limited. Do I need to look at rooks now? Hang on, 8 in this box is limited to these two. I'm not sure. I'm going to get rid of the green. 3, 5. So this is also 2, 7, 8, but this also can't be 2 because this row, I just getting rid of the highlighting gate. I saw it. This is 3, 5. So this has to be 2, 7, 8 as part of the triple, and this can't be a rook because it'd be next to a queen. This is a 7, 8. This becomes grey, but this becomes the rook. And the rook is blocked from seeing the king by the knight. This can't be a 9. Because if this is a 9, there'd be a gap between... Oh, that is a queen... Oh, I missed that for so long. So this has to be 3 or 5 so that the queen doesn't see... So this is now a 9, which is a gap. This is not a 2, so this is a gap. But 8 has to be in here in this box. Yes, 8 and 8 forces 8 into here. This is 7, and this is 8, and this is 7. Which puts 7 and 9 into here. 7 is in here. 9 is in here. What are these? These are 2 and 8. And that's known because of the 8 up here. This is 2. This is 8. That is a gap. These are now known. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 and 8 are in here. So this is now a known triple. 1, 2, 7 and 9. This can't be 7. And this can't be 2 because it would be next to... I'd put a rook next to a king and it would see it, and that doesn't work. Hang on, it's not 2, 7, 8. It's 2, 7, 9. I typed that wrong. This is very strange. Surely it's rooks I'm looking at now. So, for example, in this box, I can't put a rook in any of those, and I can't put a rook there because there's already a rook. So there's a rook in one of those two, which means down here there's a rook in one of those two. In this box, I can't put a rook here, so there's a rook in one of those two. In fact, this is a triple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 7, and 9. Can't put 9 in either of those. So the 9 goes there. So this becomes the 2 and this becomes the 7. And these are the spaces in the board. And that's the rook. That takes the 2 out of there and places the rook there. This is absolutely bonkers. 1, 2, 3, 5, and 9 go in here. Now, 5 is a pawn. That can't be a pawn. And it can't be a bishop because it would see this. This is the 9. So that takes 9 out of there, and this is a bishop and a pawn. Now, if this is a bishop, that has to block it. Which it could still do if it's a rook. This is now a 4-9 pair. We now know what these are, which is 2, 7, and 8. That's not 7. Now, if this is 2, it'd be a rook and would see that. That's the 8. Which takes 8 out of both of those. But that resolves that to be the 4 and that to be the 8. So that becomes the grey square. This is a 3, 5. That 4 takes 4 out of there. This has to be 2, 9 now for the column. And if it was a rook, it would see that. That's the 9. That's the 2. That is grey. This is the 3, 5 that's left. I am probably doing this the most inefficient way possible for this puzzle, but I'm having fun. So surely that's all that matters. Now, 3, 5, I've got to put a 7. This is a 7, 8 pair because I can't put 7 or 8 in that cell and I need to put them in this box somewhere. So this becomes a 3, 5. Now, that all works, I think, because the bishop is blocked from seeing that king by that knight. These are both empty squares. Ah, that 8 resolves it, though. That is the 7, that is the 8. 7 now goes up here with the 2s. That is a 2, 7 pair. This is now known. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is a 9, which is also... So this is now a triple. 3, 4, 5. That's not 4. Not seeing any problems with pawns or bishops on those squares. So that's moderately unhelpful. What is helpful is where does 2 go in this row? Can't put it there, because if I put a 2 there, it would be a rook next to a king. Can't put it there because it sees that rook. Can't put it there because it sees that rook. Can't put it there because it sees that rook. That is the 2. That is the 7. That is a gap. This is so cleverly put together. So what am I missing from here? I need to put a 7 in one of those two, and that sees a 7. So that is a 7, which is a gap. This is 3, 4, 5, and it sees a 4. So that is a 3, 5. Now, if that is a bishop, that needs to not be a gap. But these are 2 and 8, and that can't be the 2 because it would be next to the king. That is the 8, that is the 2. So actually, that could be a bishop because it's blocked by the rook. Things I never thought I would say in a Sudoku puzzle. This is hard to scan, though. So this is not a 2, so this is a 7, 9. I've got almost everything down to pairs, so I'm missing something. So this is a triple in the row. So 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8. That can't be 3 or 5, because if it was 3 or 5, the bishop would see the king, and the pawn would see the king. So this is the 8. So this is not the 8. So that becomes grey. So I need to put a rook into one of these two cells, because there's no 2 in the box, and I can't put it there. It would see the king. This is the 2. This is the 4. This is the 3, 5. And I've got everything down to pairs now. That 2 resolves this 2, 7, which resolves the 7, 9. I should have coloured those grey ages ago. That becomes grey. The 9 resolves the 4 and the 9. That becomes grey. 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, 9. I've got all the gaps in the board now. I've just got these bishops and pawns left. So there'll be something. No, that's not that. Not that. There's a piece blocking that. Wait, 4. That 4 means that that's the 4 and that is not the 4. That piece is blocking that one. There it is. That bishop sees that king. That has to be a pawn. That's a bishop. So that's a pawn. That's a bishop. That's a bishop. That's a pawn. That's a bishop. That's a pawn. That's a bishop. That's a pawn. That's a bishop and pawn. Bishop and pawn. Pawn, bishop, pawn, and bishop. And that is Checks and Balances by Burning Curtains. That was insane fun. I probably solved that in a way that many people are going to be unhappy with, all the colouring and all of that sort of stuff. But I had a lot of fun with that puzzle. That was very, very cool. Thank you, Burning Curtains, for giving me permission to do that one. That was great. And thank you again to Rumplana for recommending that puzzle to me. Yeah, that was cool. I hope you gave that one a shot. As I always say, I mean, I only recommend puzzles I think are, well, I can't say I only recommend puzzles I think are worthwhile. I try and hunt out puzzles I think are good, and I only have time to put the ones, you know what I mean. I don't have testers. I kind of have to shoot for the moon and hope. But yeah, this one was great. Thank you everyone for watching, and as always, good luck with your solving.